There's a particular way that you're supposed to use a balance. You want to make sure that the balance is placed on a level surface in a draft-free area. Using weighing boats or weighing paper, the boats are kind of raised. Sometimes they're shaped, they have six sides to it, or sometimes four, and you're placing the powder into the boat or on top of the weighing paper. Every time you use a new boat or new paper, you must readjust the settings on the balance. Arrest the balance before adding or removing the weight, as I mentioned. Use a clean spatula and also maintain clean the balance. Like, for example, the area in which you put the weight or balance on, that particular area should not have anything on it because it does affect on the weight, even though it may be very, very small. You want to keep the balance where it is and not move it. And here's a very good picture of a very good electronic balance. Will be the type of balance that you will most likely use within a pharmacy setting. Um, uh, Turning the leveling feet. Sometimes, in order to keep the entire balance balanced, if I can put it in that particular way, we have to kind of adjust the uh, the feet, which is located here where I have the cursor of the balance. First use of the day, check the internal weight calibration, remove the top ring of the draft shield. This is your draft shield here. Place the weighing boat in the center, this particular area that I'm pointing to here with the cursor. Add the ingredients. Clean any type of spill with a lint-filled towelette. You don't want to scratch at the balance. And then at the end, you want to always turn off the balance, not let it keep on running. And so this is how you will use an electronic balance. This is called screen balance. You're not really going to use this very often, so I'm not going to very details. I'm just going to talk about this here. Lock the balance by turning the rest knob, set the internal weights to 0. Unlock the balance and level it left to right. Lock the balance. Place the weighing boat or paper. Unlock the balance by releasing the rest knob. Lock the balance and place the required weights in the boat. Unlock the balance and note the shift of the pointer. After an accurate measure is made, you will recheck your work. Okay. One of the questions is, why do you have to make sure you are accurately weighing whatever you're weighing for your medication? And the reason why is because any extra can be detrimental to the patient. Anything less may not be as effective. So you want to make sure that you're following the instructions in terms of accurate weighing. So weighing of the product is one of the most essential parts of the compounding process. Weighing the exact amount prescribed is essential for several reasons. Products can even be checked for once the content is mixed. Once you put in several different type of chemicals together, there's no way you can independently check any of them. And the quantities weighing out are often so small that anything over or under, especially over, can be of a serious consequence for the patient. Use of spatulas. Spatula must always be clean that you are using because any type of contamination can be problematic if you put it within the medication. So the spatulas are used to transfer solid materials to prepare ointments and creams or loosen materials from the surface of a mortar or pestle. And there are many different types. Here you see one that is stainless steel here, and one here that is plastic, or it could be a very hard rubber. Any of these are fine to use. Okay, so let's look at the spatulation process. Mixed powders. If you have mixed powders, you use a spatula. Mixing can be done in a mortar or an ointment slab or in a plastic bag, as you can see here. So you may get mixed powders, and you use that to mix within a plastic bag, or it can be done in a mortar or on a ointment slab. Here is a mortar and pestle. So this is your mortar here. This is your pestle right here. And this is for finding the triturating or grinding that will allow it to be done. Many of these could be either porcelain, you see here, a Wedgwood, or in glass. And the trituration process is a process of grinding the powder to reduce the particle size. So just make it a little bit smaller so that you can adequately mix that particular chemical. All right. So this is a compounding slab, as you see here. This is your spatula. And notice you have two different compounds here. One is gel-like, and one is a powder. So this is an ideal surface for mixing the compound because it's a non-absorbent surface. And this is very important because you don't want the materials to be absorbed into your slab. And the technique used, and then this particular technique is used to reduce the particle size of the powder by what's called triturating it with a solvent in which the drug is insoluble. So now you will take this particular powder and you put it in it with a particular gelatinous or gel type substance, and you end up with the mixture, and that means that that particular powder will not wash off if it's being placed on a skin, well, most likely on the skin, and it becomes soluble. All right. There's also many different type of volumetric equipment. We just finished talking about the use of a slab, mortar and pestle, use of balance. But here, in many times in medication, you have different types of volumes that need to be measured as medicine to give to a patient. So you have the graduated cylinders, the flasks, pipettes, syringes, droppers, graduates, pipettes, syringes, and of course you could have oral syringes. When you talk about syringes, a lot of times you're talking about something with a needle associated with it. There are syringes in which you have the medication within the syringe that you just place in directly into the mouth of a patient. Usually these individuals may be very young or they may be older individuals. So when we talk about a volumetric equipment, graduated cylinders, very, very important. It could be very small, down to 5 milliliters, or very large, up to 4,000 milliliters. Very, very large. This is 4 liters here. So the usually cylindrical or cone shape, used for measuring and transferring liquids. As mentioned, the size is from 5 milliliters to 4,000 milliliters. And when we talk about selecting a graduated cylinder, you want to have the smallest capable container that can be measured. For example, if you have a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder, it doesn't accurately measure anything under 20 milliliters. So you will look for a 20 milliliter graduated cylinder. Okay, if you have something that's 5 milliliters that you measure in, you don't want to use a 20 milliliter, you want to use maybe a 10 milliliter graduated cylinder. And so you wanted to use the smallest one capable of containing the volume that you desire to measure. Okay, so this is an example of a graduate cylinder. You have some that looks like this, but most of the time, the one that you'll be using within your pharmacy looks like this. This is graduated, and we talk about graduated is because it has markers on it that tells the different type of volume at a particular level. So this is 1 milliliter, 2 milliliter, 3 milliliter, 4 milliliter, 5 milliliter, 6 milliliter, 7 milliliter, so on and so forth. This is 10 milliliter, 20 milliliter, 30 milliliter, 40 milliliter, 50 milliliter. In between will be just at the 5. So it'll be 15, 25, 30, 35. And when you are measuring, you want to look at the meniscus. A lot of times liquids have what is called a surface tension to cling to the outer portion of the glassware or plasticware. And you want to look at it at eye level, and that will be your measurement in comparison to where you see it at the edge of the graduated cylinder. Okay, here's a syringe. Okay, you have pipettes here. You have 5, 1.5, 2.5 rather, 5, 10, 25. A lot of times there's a little bulb at the end, and that bulb is almost like a vacuum to bring up the fluids that you will put within a graduated cylinder or into a beaker. Here's another example of a pipette. This is a 10 milliliter pipette. And as you can see here, you have a syringe, and this syringe goes up to 50 milliliters of needle, and it can all be used as a smaller volumetric equipment in comparison to the graduated cylinder that we have seen. Okay, very, very helpful for smaller amounts. So the range of a syringe is 0.5 milliliters to 60 milliliters. It can be relatively large. It has graduated markers or graduation markers so that you can measure on smaller volume. At the end, it's disposable. In many cases, you can store it away. A lot of times, there's a particular container for these particular type of measurement devices. Or syringe made of plastic is used for more compounded tasks involving small volumes. And always you want to use the smallest syringe capable of containing the volume to be measured. Similarly to what we talked about in relationship to the graduated cylinder. All right, droppers can be very important. That's even smaller doses. The dropper must be calibrated because the drop can change from size from size to size, from dropper to dropper. So you must know, is this a 1 milliliter dropper, a 0.5 milliliter dropper? And notice you just take a little bit of this medication and put it inside a graduated cylinder that has already have fluid in it, because it is used to deliver very small doses of liquid medication. And so you must make sure that that particular dropper, medicine dropper, is calibrated. Okay, so when you are measuring small volumes, liquid volumes, so you want to pour the liquid to be measured slowly into the graduated. Watch liquid levels of liquids as you do. If the liquid is viscous or thick, then you should attempt to pour it towards the center of the graduated cylinder instead of having some of the liquid cling to the slides, because then you have to wait for it to slide all the way down, and you're not going to get an accurate medication. So this comes with some skill. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're careful with your work. Liquid measurement as it relates to oral syringes are available for adequately administering liquids to medication to the patients. Have tips that are larger than the tips of the hypodermic needle. And we will continue this particular discussion in the next segment.